USA.
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 Welcome back to Off the Thread Reds, where a group chat of Reds fans overanalyze, overreact, and keep coming back for more. This year, we'll be diving into the Reds in real time and get reactions from not only us, but the fans out there as well. Let's get into this, and this is Off the Thread Reds. To start things off, do the Reds have too many position battles this year? We'll dive into the spring training games where the Reds and Guardians played and the Reds and Mariners faced off. And we'll get into those position battles and kind of see where the season and for those players are going to go.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching the games. First and foremost, nobody got injured. That's the one thing you're looking for in spring training. Not necessarily the X's and the O's, but everybody's out there practicing, not getting injured. The second thing being, when I saw this question popping up of do we have too many position battles, it makes me think of years like 2022 where it's like, I wish this would have been the case where we had all of these positions to battle over. So me personally, I don't think so. I think it's going to help us out in the long run, just having depth. But overall, just enjoyed a weekend watching baseball. We're back.
Yeah, I think when you're a franchise that relies on guys coming up from your farm system, it is healthy to have a bunch of position battles. It would not be healthy for a big market team to have this issue because that would mean they're lacking stars. But, since the Reds have had years where we're just fluctuating through guys being optioned up and down from AAA and the majors, it's good to have a battle and maybe find a home at some of these positions. But yeah, I enjoyed catching a little bit of ball this weekend. I won't lie, I rely on Kirby and John for a little bit of assistance in what happened because when I see Duke and Michigan face off, I kind of change the channel a little bit away from the spring training ball. But it was great to watch. I watched those first couple Chase Burns innings. He was a little wild, but he looked solid for a first outing.
Plus the Bearcats beating Kansas, the resurrection of the Bearcats. No, I think most seasons this one's a little more refreshing because the problems that they have are very low on the totem pole of fires to put out. Like their fifth starting position is, oh darn, is it your second overall pick or is it replace Chase Burns with another high prospect that you valued, or whether it's Brandon or Rhett Lauder. I think it's nice to know that you pretty much have the rotation figured out. Bullpen will always kind of be a little bit towards the bottom. The last spot being kind of not marginal in my opinion, but overall, you kind of have a set of who's starting day in and day out, minus your depth pieces or your utility outfielder.
From a fan perspective as well, I feel like this has been the first year in a couple of years where it's been very out in the open which positions are being fought for right now. So you can easily watch during these spring training games and tune in and be like, even if you aren't able to watch, like Joey said, and you're watching Michigan game, you can tune in the box score and still check in on how did this guy do, and try and make your own predictions for who's going to fill the roster.
Yeah, so first off, before we get into baseball, I do want to talk about Bearcats really quick. I'm so happy for the Cats for winning, but I'm also so angry for some weird reason. I can't figure it out yet. But for the spring training games, it was awesome to just be able to watch them, turn on the TV, watch some baseball. Had my 11th month old with me while we were doing it, and it was just everything was right. Sadly, though, it's Cincinnati. We have a bunch of snow here now. Not sure how that happened. So just wish I was in Arizona, kind of going through the spring training with them. So let's get into this position battle because we're going to be hitting on quite a few of the players that played, which is nice. I think Mark said it like it's meaningful, right? As this organization, all of these games are meaningful. It might be a spring training game, but it still means something. So the four kind of position battles we're going to highlight are the fifth starting pitcher, which we actually talked about in a previous podcast, the last bullpen spot, which is kind of shaky. It might be actually two spots. The outfield / bench spot, which I think is just full of players that have potential for making the opening day roster. And the last thing is our first base, which we'll kind of hit on at the end. But let's kind of get into the fifth starter spot from the pitchers you guys saw throw, with Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, and Julian Aguilar all being able to throw. What do you guys think of them?
I'll start out. Kirby, I think I texted about this with you, but Chase Burns, from an overall outing perspective, I mean, I loved watching what he came out with. Anytime he comes throwing, like I said in the last episode, it's must-watch TV. Didn't end up giving up a run, kept a clean sheet. Overall, like I said, gave us 2 innings, didn't end up injured. Those are the things you're looking for. Looked solid. Rhett Lauder, I think, had the most impressive inning, in my opinion. Hit 4 Ks over 2 innings. Not something like you said, you're not jumping into too many stats when you're looking through these games, but overall looked dominant there. Aguilar didn't look the best in my opinion. I think there are things to grow on, but that's okay. It's rust. You can build off this. The 5th starter guy, Brandon Williamson, I want to talk about a little bit after I give you guys a chance to talk, but after everything came out this week of what they're possibly going to do with Brandon Williamson, how they're going to utilize him, I'd be interested to see your guys' takes on that as well.
Yeah, Mr. Slater, I have to admit, my dog ate my homework and I only got to watch a little bit of Burns and Louder pitching. So I don't have too hot of takes except for in the bullpen. I checked some box score, listened a little bit to Tommy Thrall announce the games too. But yeah, my takes would be more reserved to the bullpen.
I mean, sitting behind Joey, I'm copying off of his homework. I didn't really, tune in much other than just from a quick, turn it on, turn it off. So, obviously I'm biased, and I think Chase Burns is obviously is who I want to be the 5th starter. So I'm gonna biasly end it with that statement.
Yeah, I do. I do want Louder to be getting starts throughout the season. People are going to have stints on the 15-day IL. I hope that's the worst it gets for us, and then he can pick up some starts that way. Maybe, on a week where you don't have an off day, he picks up one of the starts just to not have to push everyone forward. And then I'm high on Brandon Williamson as well. We didn't see him pitch this weekend, but I think I'm going to be the B Will guy on this podcast.
Save me a chair next to you. B Will, there's hype around his name for a reason.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So Brandon Williamson, I think, is going to be throwing after Andrew Abbott on Tuesday. So I think Abbott will throw 2. Brandon Williamson will throw 2. So it'll be interesting. So when John was kind of talking about it, so I think Chase Burns had the best outing out of all of them, but I think Rhett Lauder had the best inning out of all of them. I mean, it's spring training. They're all working on different stuff. Stats really don't matter. But from just an overall perspective, I think Chase Burns won that 5th starting spot just for now. Now, kind of going into the bullpen, it is an interesting kind of last bullpen spot, which might actually be 2, depending on what they do with their position players. But right now, I just putting guys out there. We have Sam Moll, Connor Phillips, Zach Maxwell, and Luis May. Now, I'm going to be honest, really none of them had great outings besides Sam Moll, and we'll kind of get into that. But what are your guys' thoughts on this last bullpen spot, just seeing kind of performance from the first day?
It's not too late to sign someone. Yeah, there still are free agents out there. No, I mean, that's a little bit of a hot take after just one outing for each of them, but they did not look good. They just based off of the stat lines I saw, pretty horrible innings, if I'm being honest. We know they could
Yeah,
do better. We know at least we've seen better from all of them. But
yeah. I think watching the game today was tough because it reminded you of what the pain can be of the baseball season. You have 10 walks in a game where you put up 8 runs, where yesterday you're struggling to put up runs, but your bullpen's doing pretty good. It's just a double-edged sword. Now, looking at the names that we have on this list, personally, I think 2 of them might be finding spots on that 26-man roster. I know Connor Phillips didn't perform well today, but I think Terry Francona has a lot of belief in him with the way that he speaks about Connor Phillips. I think Sam Moll also ends up making that roster. When you look at it, Sam Moll doesn't have any more options left. I think that gives him a little bit of an advantage because can't send him down, right? So he'd be a DFA candidate. Now looking at Zach Maxwell, Luis May, I think Luis May today showed kind of what he had some struggles with last year. His stuff and his stuff plus, when it's clicking, there's nobody else really in the league that's throwing 102 mile per hour sinker and it's looking that filthy. The downside of that is sometimes it's hard to control that 102 mile per hour sinker. Zach Maxwell, Big Sugar, same thing. 4 walks, walks kill, walks haunt. I think Zach Maxwell, Luis May start in AAA, Connor Phillips, Sam Moll, they end up on the 26th.
I kind of have two questions for you both, or for everyone. With the bullpen lacking that flair, is it more likely that Chase Burns is your bullpen guy for the short term because he brings that element of flair? And also, too, I'm biased because he's been through a lot. TJ Antone, Captain Hook, where does he fit in? I know he's what, 3 Tommy John surgeries? Where does
Yeah.
he? Uh, the fact that he can't even compete is A, impressive. B, the fact that the spot's open for him is given, maybe it's a little shocking how up in arms the bullpen is. So, see what you guys think.
Yeah, that's an awesome take. Like, you're right. Our bullpen is like, it doesn't have that flair. We don't have a guy throwing 100, 101. Like, Chase Burns fits that role perfect. Now I'm actually a little nervous because I could see that's why they're kind of thinking putting him in the bullpen, having Louder start. Even though B Will, he's going to come out and do something crazy, but we'll see. But I'm with you, Zach Maxwell, Luis May. I think AAA candidates for sure. Connor Phillips, I think you're right. Tito has too much trust in him after last year. He's going to allow him to kind of start the season there and kind of see what he does. The only thing is, I'm with Joey with the whole, like, don't get me wrong, Sam Moll is a great lefty specialist, but like, I don't know. They signed a lot of lefties in the offseason for the bullpen. So it's like, what's their plan with them? Is it too late to sign another bullpen arm? If you're all in for this season, that would be a smart kind of move for them to do. So it is curious, but I love that take, Mark. You're right. Our bullpen doesn't have the flamethrower that all the other, plus teams have in the league.
I think it's a great take. I just don't see it happening. I think Chase Burns is going to solidify the 5th. I think Rhett Lauder is going to start in AAA. I think it is a awesome idea to bring other people in. Like, it's not too late. You can still dip the toe in the water for the free agency. I'm glad you brought up TJ Antone. He deserves every shout out that he receives. It is 3 Tommy John surgeries, still coming back. Now, as in, does he find a spot on the roster? I don't see a world in which he's on the 26 man, at least to start the year, right? I think he's going to start in AAA. But he's come back. He's writing a book, which is kind of cool as well. But to come back, first inning back, have a K, no runs, I'm happy for him.
So our next position battle, I'm just going to start off by saying I think at this point, we're a Willie Beeman pro podcast. We're all about him. He must have listened to the pod because he just took one deep on Saturday. So outfield / bench positions here, kind of going off. We have Will Benson. We have JJ Bleday. I'm really interested in what your thoughts were because he was on fire today. He looked fantastic. Dane Myers and then Reese Hines, who also actually had a really good day. Minus, if you were watching the game or listening to the game, he actually had a pretty solid outing. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the outfield / bench situation?
I think you nailed it. Stocks went up, especially in this outfield area. Like, Will Benson had the home run. He faced a left-handed, which was a little bit interesting. Still took him deep, which is cool. But Will Benson, his stock went up. JJ Bleday, he crushed the ball 112 off the bat. He did get caught watching it a little bit. Thought it was going to get out of there. Got the second still. Cool beans. Reese Hines, 2 for 2. His stock went up. I'm not going to say Dane Myers' stock went down. He played a fine game, only got so many opportunities at the plate. I'm still interested to see what he's going to do. When it comes to, like, making that roster, uh, Will Benson and JJ Bleday, to me, are kind of similar players, like almost the same. Both lefties. I don't think both of them are going to make the roster. I think it's going to be one or the other. Right now, I think you can't go off of how their performances are because they're both very good currently. I think if one's going to perform the same as the other, Will Benson's probably going to get the lead because of familiarity with the ball club. And then I think Dane Myers, he's going to get a spot as well. So Will Benson, Dane Myers make it. I have JJ Bleday and Reese Hines starting AAA.
Yeah, that may be how it starts. I like Bleday a lot. I think of him a lot. I mean, he's a lefty, so he's different from Austin Hayes in that aspect, but I do think of him similar to Austin Hayes. He can kind of be a streaky hitter, but he will have weeks where he'll win you a series almost single-handedly just because he catches fire and gets a couple big late inning hits. I do want to see him getting some major league at bats early on this year. We'll see how this battle turns out. But Willie B did have a nice outing, shut me up for a little bit. But I like Willie B as well. So yeah.
I'll happily eat crow for Willie B. I'll continue to talk smack and let him just take us deep. I will be the first one to apologize. Um, I think for me, it doesn't Blade. He can play all three outfield positions, right? It's like,
Yeah.
doesn't that provide a little bit of a strength? I know the familiarity with Willie B, but who's second behind Friedel in center? If like no one comes to mind, so is it Blade?
Yeah, that's a good. You're right. The versatility for JJ Bleday. I bet you people out there could be like, "Yo, Will Benson also has versatility." I mean, he played center a couple of games and was good. But you're right, though. I think Dane Myers actually is probably the most, or he's the best defensive specialist that they signed. So I'm curious to kind of see what they use with him. But I don't know. I think I'm all on board with Will Benson at this point. I'm going to ask him to be on the podcast like every week to see if he just comes on. I don't know. There might be a fight between Mark and Will Benson by the end of it, so we'll see what
No,
happens there.
I like Willie
Did
B.
anyone,
I just
did anyone else
I like Willie B. I just think at times he wasn't the best baseball player. Respectfully, I'm not saying I'm better baseball player. I just think at times the man was not playing to his peak ability. Respectfully,
did anyone else see that video of him taking Trevor Bauer deep on like some sort of baseball
Yeah,
oh, like
simulator?
some simulator thing.
I did.
Yeah. Just bring Trevor Bauer back to that last bullpen spot too. Why not?
Hey,
Sign him cheap.
sign him cheap.
Um,
Everything's like, is he good? Like,
Yeah,
is the MO? Oh,
I
okay,
think.
okay, yeah, okay. I don't
I don't know
know
if
about.
he's good in the MLB's eyes. I don't know if he's. I think he got cleared legally eyes. I don't know how
Oh,
like in
yeah.
depth you go into it and look into this stuff, but I don't know about like him in the LB. JJ Bleday, you did bring up a good point, Joey. He can catch fire. Biased to realize this, if you are a fantasy baseball like player or you manage a fantasy baseball team, he's one of those guys you pick up who's like JJ Bleday. You don't hear his name often. Why is he in the top 15 points scored? Because he doesn't strike out a ton, and he will get you a weekend where he puts up 15, 20 fantasy points with a couple homers and brings some RBIs.
Yeah, you ride him when he's hot. And if he's on the major league roster, I would expect Tito probably takes a similar approach. Play him every day when he's on fire. And then, once he has 2 days where he strikes out 4 times, gets no hits, then you give him a rest for a couple days.
All of their contracts between Willie B, Blade, and Myers, for the most part, are pretty similar, right? In terms of just figures. Like, there's no like contractual like leverage that any of these players have against each other, right?
I want to say JJ Bleday is the most expensive, and he's out of options.
He's 1 year, 1.4 million. But they're
Pretty
kind of similar. They came from small, underperforming clubs, and they both had some moments where they looked like trade candidates midseason and then never got dealt. So they're
Believe Bleday has one option left. I could be incorrect in saying that. Because that's the only reason that I have. That's one of the reasons I have Will Benson above him, is because if he doesn't have an option, I personally think starting with JJ Bleday makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean that's a
he
huge.
still,
If
he
JJ,
still has options remaining.
that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you just ride who's hot, right? Like once a guy cools
Yeah.
down, just switch him out and get that. Wow, that just made our depth like way more. All
Just
right, let's get into.
Sorry, go back to Louisville.
Yeah, sorry. That's what they did with re-signs. They're like, you cooled off. It's been 4 games. Go back down.
One more for you, Kirby. How many games do you think the platoon of those three, Willie B, Blade, and Myers, play this upcoming season?
140. No, it's gonna be a lot.
Friedel's ankle is shattered in that situation.
I mean, who else is gonna play left?
Steer?
Like,
Yeah, I
guess,
realistically
yeah.
think Willie B, Myers, and Bleday. I want to say Willie B historically gets about 100 games a year. We do have a little bit more depth this year, so you might split some of that with Bleday. Dane Myers, I think they find pretty attractive as an outfield option. So I think he's going to play over 100 games as well. 140, I think that number's a little high, but Steer also is mixing in left, so that makes it tough.
Yeah, I
genuine
guess.
non-baseball question, but if you're JJ Bleday and the Reds sign you partially because you have options, do you have to get an apartment in Cincinnati and in Louisville and just be prepared to split time?
I mean, you got to, right?
Or do the Reds just put you in a hotel for like half of the night?
You'd think because he's a
I'm
Major League Baseball player, he would only buy a house in Cincinnati and then just like Airbnb if he gets sent down to Louisville. Just like to have the confidence, right? You don't want to like plan for the worst, but I don't know. Ooh, that's
But on
rough.
a 1-year deal, do you even buy a house? I feel like you probably
No.
not. Yeah.
Buy a car with good gas mileage.
Toyota
You're just
Camry
driving.
hybrid.
Yeah.
You're just
Toyota
driving.
Camry sponsorship is rising.
Hey, you're just
Actually,
driving down
Sponsorship rising.
71
I
and
got a
JJ
warranty
Bleday.
notice. I got a warranty notice that it's possible that I'll need to like pull over if something clicks wrong. So I've had so many car troubles this year. I know it's just going to happen to me. But Toyota will have me covered. Free fix.
Look at that. Getting the plug in there for Toyota. All right, here we go. Let's get into first baseman. I guess this really isn't a position. It's not a roster battle. I think it's more of just who's going to play majority of the time at first base. So we have Sal Stewart, Spencer Steer, obviously. I put Nathaniel Lowe and CES on there as well. So honestly, from the first week, there's really nothing that our first weekend, we can't really see about these guys, but we already know what Sal Stewart and we already know what Spencer Steer can do. So what are you guys' thoughts on these guys?
I want to see Sal getting as many games at first base as possible. I feel like I was a little harsh on both Nathaniel Lowe and CES last podcast. Nothing against them. I want to see Sal be the guy. He's kind of our future, so get him as many
like-
chances as we can.
I feel like Lowe's just more of an insurance policy if spring training doesn't go well, right? Like, is that his only route to make the team? Or is he?
Yeah,
I mean, probably.
it's injury,
his signing
right?
wasn't even like a Jeff Passan tweet, I don't think. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a huge deal league wide. I mean, he is electric at the ballpark. He was playing at Fenway for a couple of months last year, and his walkout song was Creed, One Last Breath. So, I wouldn't mind hearing that a couple times at GAVP.
I was like, CES
Yeah,
is
I'm
isn't CES's walk up Johnny Cash?
It was
Or is it-
or it was when he came up,
Austin Elite walk
I
up.
believe.
Yeah, I think Nathaniel Lowe's only way I think is injury, but I think it's any position injury. I think he comes up
As
just
a
because the way
DH
he can
option.
bat. Yeah, just as another DH. I really like if anybody gets injured, I think he's the next guy up. Which
I mean,
I'm
we
kind
all,
of sad.
we all like the deal, right? Because it's
Yeah.
cheap. It's cheap, and he can play. He's in a minor league contract
Yeah,
from a guy who was on a World Series team batting in the front half of their lineup that year.
yeah.
Please throw a wrinkle in there. I'll throw a wrinkle. I personally think that there's a higher chance than we're giving option to that Nathaniel Lowe makes it. I think there's opportunity for Lowe, Sal Stewart, and Spencer Steer to make it. CES not making it. Personally, as I've gone through my 26, I'm not saying that I think that that's 100% an option, but I don't think Lowe not making it is 100% guaranteed, personally. If you look at it, there are options for him being there, especially if we're already talking about Spencer Steer playing in left field. There was options for Spencer Steer possibly backing up Matt McLean some days. First base, I see him still getting opportunity there, but the more that I think about it, would it make sense to have Sal Stewart splitting time with Lowe there? If you're already going to ask Steer to go left field and some days at second base, possibly. I think it's interesting, though. Like I said, this 26-man roster and the battle of roster dates that we have, or the updates we have currently, I think is the most fun it's been in recent years.
Yeah, because that would really put a lot of pressure then on that outfield position.
Yeah,
that we do.
certainly.
Because there's not room for JJ, Dane Myers, and Benson in that case for sure.
No, because then you're looking at Spencer Steer outfield option, Friedel, Marte, Will Benson, Dane Myers, or JJ. Like those are one of Will Benson, Dane Myers, JJ, or two of them
Yeah.
in that instance.
Yeah.
Well, you got to carry a second catcher too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much. I never even thought about that point you guys just brought up. Like, you're right. Like, there is a good chance that all three of those guys actually do make it, and that would make our outfield. I don't know. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious. Obviously, we can't say we can speculate all we want. These injuries that are going to probably happen in spring training. I hope they're not anybody important, but like, I mean, it's going to dictate a lot what our 26 man roster is going to look like. So, kind of curious to see what ends up happening.
Yeah, I
All right,
think CES should try and learn to catch. That would be his best route to getting at that this year.
It's crazy because he was our opening day first baseman last year. And like if we look back at last year's conversations to where we are now, it's crazy. Not, I mean, he shouldn't be completely just thrown away, but just how fast things change, your situation changes. It's wild.
Yeah, did he save us from getting swept on that first weekend with a home run on Sunday? Maybe we weren't down 2-0 at the start, but I remember he had a home run that lifted us to a win the very first weekend. I was thinking that was the year of CES breakout.
First opening day, he went over 5, so hot start. Let me see,
how many strikeouts? Like 3.
2.
It's the glasses, guys. The glasses are going to make him come around. All right,
Give him rec specs.
Yeah,
we're giving Rex.
yeah, we're
specs.
good. Yeah,
He's going to be unreal. All right. So before we move on, I do want to bring this up for the Reds sickos out there who watched the game Saturday and also listened to it on Sunday. There was actually really good performances from pitching on Saturday. But one thing I do want to point out, Sal Stewart is 100% going to bat 6th, 3rd, or 2nd for the Cincinnati Reds throughout this season because of how well he approaches at-bats. Every single one of his at-bats was probably the most professional at-bat I've seen out of all the Reds so far. He just knew how to do it. Also, shout out to him. He used the ABS for the first time for a Red, and he got it right, which is big. I like it. Let it work. The other thing is on Sunday, it was a slugfest, but I do want to point out McLean looked fantastic, or I guess I heard him that he looked fantastic over the radio. I mean, backside was letting the ball get deep. He was doing really well. And then Ellie's just electric. Hit a double. He's just unreal on the bases. Excited to kind of see both those guys kind of get into their groove. But yeah. And then JJ Bleday went off today too. But yeah.
From a star perspective, you had to be happy with today's performances. Like the first time you're seeing McLean and Ellie's hitting balls over 110 off the bat. McLean's got 2 hits, a couple of RBIs. Friedel had a great game. Like the guys that you're going to be leaning on heavily as your everyday dudes, not the platoon guys who we're talking about now are in position battles, but the guys you're like, Ellie, we're going to need you to go out there, perform day in and day out. They showed up today, right? They all played good games. It's only one game in, but it was a lot of fun to listen to. Get back to another little aggravating twist in MLB baseball. We had to listen to the game today and not watch it. It's all right.
Yeah, so I looked that up. It was 2 years ago, opening weekend, we got the series win over the Nationals because Benson and CES hit back-to-back homers in the 9th, CES a walk-off. Clearly, that was long ago enough before last week that I had forgotten about it.
All right. So going off, by the way, I kind of missed that, like CES, Will Benson. Those guys are the guys winning games for us. But hey, maybe it might happen this year. You never know. All right. So last thing we want to do, like just threads, thoughts before we get into reactions, is talk about the LeBron James and Michael Jordan conversation for the Cincinnati Reds in 2026, which is who is more valuable this year, Hunter Greene or Elly De La Cruz?
This year,
This year specifically.
I'm going to go Ellie if we're talking for this year. I think long-term, Hunter is the value we have in the franchise. I mean, also, are you talking like value meal? Because Hunter Greene is that for us, basically. Ellie, though, we've seen when he's striking out, not healthy, not able to steal as many bases, it really limits the ceiling of this ball club. And it's hard for us to go on 10-game win streaks like we did a couple years ago unless Ellie is firing on all cylinders. He's going to make some errors, but we need him to stop making them in the 9th inning too, you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad answer in this scenario. I've tossed it back and forth in my head. I'll say Hunter Greene just because I feel like we're a pitch first ball club. I think also if Ellie De La Cruz is not playing up to his standard, we're probably screwed as well. We're probably not making the playoffs. If Hunter Green does not perform up to his standard, he's not the ace that we know him to be. It's going to be tough to win a lot of games. Hunter Green had multiple games last year where he threw 1-run games we won or 2-run games we won. We didn't win as many 1-run games, but I think his overall first healthiness as well as dominance is going to matter more in the longevity of this team make to the playoffs if they're going to or if they're not. I don't know though. It's such a top up question or toss up question. I've thought about it back and forth. This year I'll go Hunter Green being more important.
Me, I was
Part of it was also we're looking at these position battles for fifth starter, and I don't know what we do if Ellie goes down. I mean, I
that
guess McLean would go to short.
that
I'll
was
go
my
second, and then it'd be Nathaniel.
that was my
Mark, I'll
like
let you go.
how I was going to answer the question. If Hunter Green goes down, our strength is our starting our starting rotation. Ellie goes down, we're kind of screwed in sense of you're losing your third hitter, star player that everyone gravitates towards. I do think Hunter Green, if you need a win, Hunter Green's your guy. Which I mean goes to John's point, value, right? What's the most series on the line? You need a win. You're sending out Hunter Green, playoff series, Hunter Green. But if you take away Ellie's stats throughout the course of the year, I don't think we're in the division run, personally.
Yeah,
Dang,
they're both valuable because you bring up a good point. Like if you're on a 4-game skid
And you have
and Hunter
HG
Green's
going
getting
out.
all
Yeah.
these games, and he immediately becomes the most valuable guy on the team because you
hmm
need an ace that can stop a skid like that.
And if they're all in a funk and you're in a 0-0 game and Hunter Green's, going back for an eighth inning and maybe you can sneak a quick little eighth run and you win 1-0, just anything that can keep either a rally alive or, I don't know, break a streak in a bad way.
dang, I never thought about that. Like going into it, I was 100% like, I don't know. I was like Hunter Green, no matter what. Like he's more valuable just because he's your ace. You're guaranteed almost to win every time he's out, hopefully. But then like thinking about it more, I'm like, if Hunter Green got hurt, we have the depth there. Like we'll be okay. We're still average at that, maybe even a little above average for MLB standards. But if we lost Ellie, this like from an offensive standpoint, like you can't replace a guy like that. Matt McLean, I think, would actually probably hold down short really well. He's a plus defender there. He has been, so like that will be okay. But offensively, like Ellie's our heartbeat. So I never thought about that. I'm still gonna stick with Hunter Green. I think he's gonna be the most valuable. If Hunter Green pitches 30 games this year, I think he's a Cy Young winner.
Who do you think the Reds ticket office thinks is the most valuable player on the team?
The big red
Ellie.
machine.
Ellie.
Ellie 100.
Yeah, 50 years ago, winning games. Yeah.
Ellie. Isn't it kind of crazy though? Like Hunter Green missed what, over 10 starts last year, and that's kind of lines up when Ellie kind of went on that cold streak right around like after the All-Star break, right? Like he hit what, like 19 home runs before in that first half of the season, and then just kind of went on that home run drought. It kind of stinks that both of their Ellie was available but was just not clicking, and then Hunter was not being able to go out there. Just is interesting to give us a little bit of hope of if both of them play to their potential and stay healthy, they are a dangerous team.
I do think that brings up an interesting point of just like, I think it is such a close race as to who matters more for this team that either player being injured or either player going through a slump or either player not performing to their standard cost this team not just like 1 or 2 wins, but multiple wins, right? I mean, look at their wins above replacement last year. Both of them were well over 3. So both I think are well deserving of the title of either LeBron or Kobe, whichever one you see as the GOAT in your eyes. But I think they're both going to be very valuable to the team. So I'm hoping that both of them perform to their standard.
Yeah. One frustrating thing that is not a Hunter Green thing. It is a Reds of the last decade issue. It seems like whoever our ace is, we never give them the run support to ensure that their great
Yeah.
outing is even going to get us a win. I mean, last year Hunter he had a 4.4 WAR and only got credited with 7 wins. It's
Yeah, we
just
turn
like
That's
into the
insane.
the players just
like
say Hunter's getting the ball today. We don't really need to show up. Is what the
like
batter.
Brady Singer got whenever Singer would go out there, just we would score 10 runs, which is great for Singer and get wins. But it's like the Paul Skeens effect. Just Hunter goes out there and maybe the bats cool down because they don't have to work as hard with Hunter on the mound. But
Yeah, the
it's
prior
crazy,
year he
Joey.
had 6.2 WAR and got credited with 9 wins. Just ridiculous how
that's
he just
insane.
if he's
That
off at all, he's getting credited with a loss, and if he's on, he's got a 50-50 shot of getting a win.
we turn into the 2015 Mets whenever Hunter Green's on the mound. It's great.
Yeah, we did the same thing with Castillo back in
So
the day.
going off of what we kind of were covering, we'll do hot takes like that throughout the season. I think it's interesting, kind of get fans' opinions too on what we think about all this. But let's get straight into the thread now. We're gonna start with the West Side rants, and this is a special one for our elder boy John here. Go ahead and hit us off with West Side rants.
Yeah, today's a very easy West Side rant. In the name, West Side and rant. If there's one thing to rant about with this past week, it's Lent has started, right? We are eating fish on Fridays. We are giving up the things that we would like. So to start off my rant, Catholic fish fries. If you're not from the Cincinnati area, shout out to the one from Panama and the one from Peru that we have a listener on Instagram. Love that. But the West Side of Cincinnati, we're a very Catholic organization in west side of town, runs deep in the city's values. Now, when it comes to fish fries, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but you go to Our Lady of Lourdes, you might get salty fish. You go to St. William's, you're guaranteed a crisp golden piece of filet. I'm here to tell you, you got a Friday, you got a family, you need to feed them cheap. Go to St. William's Parish on West 8th, west side of Cincinnati. Get yourself a number one. It's got cod, and it's got french fries and a drink. 2 tartar sauce, walk away a happy man. That's my West Side rant.
John,
I mean,
do you consider yourself a man of faith?
Try my best.
And
Tom
there's a
Brenneman.
drive, and there's a drive to deep west.
all I know is I think John just made a bunch of West Side controversial takes that a lot of people are going to be mad about. So, John, you're going to be whenever we get messages on Instagram and stuff, you're going to have to answer those ones. That's going to be tough. You're going to get some fights going with where you get your fish fry.
I may have been speaking in Latin for you all, but the West Side listeners are going to be nodding their heads in agreement with what I just said.
Oh, man. All right. So going off that, let's get into Mark's metrics now. Dive into what different things you have for our listeners for this season specifically.
Thanks. Wanted to also just give a quick plug to our first non-paid sponsor in addition to DraftKings. Mark's Metrics, today's version is going to be brought to you by Masali Law. Whether you're planning ahead with a will or trust, handling an estate, or dealing with a personal injury, the team up at Masali Law is a great resource for you. Visit them, give them a call, tell them that the OTT gang sent you, and maybe they'll give you a friends and family discount. I feel like I've known the Masali Law team for a while, consider them family. So hopefully you feel the same and, bring some business to them. But jumping into the actual business side of it now that we got the sponsorship out of the way. So I kind of took a look at two little plays for all of you responsible sports gamblers. First one, kind of piggybacking off of our discussion with Ellie, 90 plus RBIs is plus 185. He had 86 last year, and that was with that home run drought. If you think the Reds are going to have success, it's not a bad idea that he doesn't, he's ascending, right? So you would assume he's building off of what he did last year. He's coming in healthy. He's gained all that muscle mass. He looks like he can add to last year. So I personally want to see what you guys think on that one, and then we'll turn it to the parlay after I get the quick 3 yays from you three.
I'm all about that one.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Easy from the crowd.
Plus the addition of Suarez too. That's going to bolster the RBI opportunities. I feel like even with him behind him, they're going to have to pitch to him, get into all the metrics. But yeah, plus 90 RBIs, Mark. That's a great find. With plus,
no doubter.
Also, a biased parlay for one of the 3 legs. This is 3 division winners upcoming season. Reds to win the NL Central, Tigers to win the AL Central, and Dodgers to win the NL West is about plus 1100. We're not doing all division winners. Figured we'd start with the easiest one with the Dodgers as your anchor, and then two kind of teams in the Central that are desperate for getting back on top. I know the Tigers were killing it last year. This might be one of the last few years with Skubal, so they're going all in. The return of Verlander the last year was my thought. Plus, the AL Central seems a little weak with White Sox and Twins. Even the Royals don't really scare me from if I was a Tigers fan. And then the Guardians play, very Milwaukee-like baseball where they sell one of their best players and then, hover around that 500 mark. The biggest one, obviously, is whether or not the Reds can actually capitalize off of all of this potential. I know we talked about it last few episodes, and we'll continue to talk about it, but we're biased Reds fans. I think it's not a bad idea that they're going to win the Central, but the Cubs is probably your biggest fear. So that one, if you're feeling a little crazy, 3 legs, 1100, that's Mark's metrics.
Yeah, I like the Tigers to win the Central as well. They brought in Framber Valdez, so they got one of the best 1-2 punches, if not the best 1-2 punch of starting pitching. That's a very pitcher-heavy parlay there, 3 of the top 5 pitching staffs to win their division, and you're leaving out the AL East, which is just a tough division to pick a winner, as well as the NL East with the Mets.
Yeah, the East both were scary.
Yeah.
And the AL West was also very competitive between Mariners, the Astros. I'm blanking on.
Diamondbacks I expect to be a little better than they were a year ago as well.
I'm curious what
Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm curious though. The AL Central is actually a really good conversation. Like, you think the Tigers are like the team of destiny for this year? Like, they're going to pull it off. They're going to win the Central, and then they're going to make it to the World Series, all that stuff. But Cleveland's so just there all the time. So it's almost like you're kind of hesitant. But I like that parlay. I mean, I think that
the Tigers had one of the worst meltdowns of all time last year. They were I mean, the best team in the AL, and then all of a sudden you looked at the tail end of September and Cleveland was within a couple games, and then it came down to the wire.
I like the Tigers in the Central also just for the fact that I like their pitching. They've got young talent with Riley Green. Torkelson's a good bat as well. You move into the other teams in the AL Central, like you said, Royals don't really scare you. I do fear that if all 3 of the teams, the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Royals, are just playing good baseball and turns into a 3-team race, that the Tigers do have another meltdown scenario on their hands. But I think those are 3 teams that's between in the AL Central.
Yeah, we were touching on AL West. Can't believe I said Diamondbacks. They're obviously NL. But the team that I think is kind of slept on is the A's. And I think I maybe even touched on it last episode, but they got a great lineup with Nick Kurtz and Jacob Wilson. They're a great young core. So
they have Rooker still, right?
Rooker and Soderstrom. I think you just avoid that division is a good call as well. Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head, their center fielder Clark, is he going to win that center fielder position for them? Because he is there's not many players, kind of like a Ryan Freel-esque, that you're like, I like watching him play defense. He zooms around the outfield. It's a blast to watch.
I was pretty sure Lawrence Butler would be their center fielder, and he's also an electric player.
That also makes sense.
Yeah.
Are they still playing in? Are they still in the Sacramento? Is that where they're at? The minor league stadium where all of them are going to go yard.
So I think the Oakland A's should be your automatic over team throughout the whole entire year because they slug the ball, but every game is going to be 8 to 10. It's going to be like a little league game score just because they don't have that great of pitching yet. And they have all this young players who just have pop. It'll be fun to watch them.
And Leo DeVries, whenever he comes up, he's a top 5 prospect, if not maybe the number 1 in the sport. They got him in that trade of Mason Miller last year.
With the Padres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About that. All right, Joey, go ahead and take it away. We got Around the League with Joey, brought to you by Toyota Camry.
Well, I'll kind of consider that A's talk most of the Around the League. The Twins were not expected to be a competitive team, but they had bad news with their 2 star pitchers. Pablo Lopez is getting season-ending surgery, and Joe Ryan got an MRI that came up pretty clean on his back, but I think he's probably going to be scratched from the World Baseball Classic for Team USA. At least, if he was a Reds pitcher and that happened, I would hope the Reds would scratch him from that. Um, but I was going to take this time to shout out the Bearcats, one for that win over at Fog Allen. Bill Self loses less than one home game a year, and this one came by way of the mighty Bearcats, and they looked good too. So we'll see if they can keep that up going into Texas Tech. Big opportunity, and then also USA. Hell of a weekend for the men's and women's hockey team. A little bit of a gripe with the women's gold medal match being on a Thursday. I feel like that could have been played on Saturday morning to have a big game Saturday morning and then Sunday morning. But Keller with the medal winning goal in overtime, and then Jack Hughes missing his two front teeth, being the hero in overtime for the men's team. One of the best watches of the decade, I would say. I'm an Olympic junkie. Sad to see this one end, but looking forward to 2028 in LA being on our time zone as well. Going to try and get out there to watch a couple events.
I have two follow-ups to the thread on this. Let's start with the Olympics, then move to the basketball. First one, the Olympics. Is there a superior Olympics, winter or summer Olympics? I'll hang
I'd
up
say
and listen.
summer is a better Olympics, but I do think hockey could be the best Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I love swimming too, but for like
Right,
team
so
sport, I don't know.
I think summer Olympics for sure. Winter Olympics because of hockey. But guys, there is an event that I watched 2 nights ago where people are on skis and they jump like 40, 50 feet in the air and do a bunch of twists. It was electric. I don't know what the name of the event was. I don't know what was going on, but it was probably one of the coolest things I've seen. And the U.S. got the gold. There's a kid from Sharonville that was on the team who got the
I
gold
believe
medal
that was
for
the
it.
freestyle ski aerial is what
That's
that was
it.
called.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. Big shout out, Sharonville kid. Way to go.
For that exact reason, I think I go Winter Olympics just because there's so many sports that I don't typically see being played where it's like, I'll tune into a 15-kilometer biathlon where you're just cross-country skiing and then you're shooting a gun. Like, that's really cool. Also, Johannes Kleb from Norway running a 6-minute per mile pace up a hill on skis was maybe the biggest athletic feat I've ever seen in my life.
I got to go summer. I feel like swimming and track, maybe they are on side TVs throughout the year, but I'm only watching them once every 4 years, but I'm not missing a big event when they are on in the Olympics.
Yeah, like obviously tennis and basketball's not really a competitive Olympic sport for summer, but like I always feel like just overall you have way more, I don't know, sports that I'm familiar with from a summer standpoint.
Well, basketball's getting more competitive with Wemby in France.
Yeah.
So to flip the conversation to your second piece there, UC basketball, since we all went to UC, 4 games to go. I'm going to need you to fill me in because my knowledge on UC basketball this year is shot. We got BYU, Texas Tech. Do we need to win out plus some to get in, or what gets the Bearcats in?
So they showed up on Lenardi's, they're basically the 9th team out.
Yeah. Not the next, not the first 4, not the next 4, but the 4 after that, right?
They were
Fantastic.
dead in the water on the Super Bowl, and they've had a couple good weeks. They're kind of paying for the first 3 games in January where they had opportunities to win all 3 of them and couldn't win a single one. If you have 1 or 2 of those, then I think you're firmly on the bubble right now. Because they have opportunities in 3 quad 1 games remaining, I think if they can go 3-1 in these games, they will go into champ week on the bubble. With an opportunity, you win 1 and you can sweat it. If you win 2 in Kansas City, then you might be in.
I think the one has to be at Texas Tech too, right, Joey? Like just in terms of you probably don't want to lose. They play at home against Oklahoma State, or
yeah, you have to
they
win
have
at home against Oklahoma State,
and you probably have to win at home against BYU. Like without Richie Saunders, the second best scorer for BYU. But like,
Yeah, the thing is they have two of the best wins in the sport
yeah,
with Iowa State and Kansas, to where
at
I
Kansas,
think I think as long as you go 3-1 and your one loss was one of the Q1 games, you add two more quad one wins, I think that's going to boost their resume to be bubble worthy.
if they can avoid the Big 12 tournament set up where there's single bye, double bye, they're not going to get a double bye. If they can get a single bye and not be in a position where they're playing a game that is meaningless, they have to win the next one and then play a third game. That also might be a huge deal breaker for them to sneak in.
Yeah, they want to be playing like a West Virginia where you can get credit for a win, but you also
Mhm.
can beat them.
Or Baylor, yeah, like
Yeah, like that.
they
I'm
won't do it,
curious if
but
they make the tournament. If we somehow magically make the tournament, does Wes Miller he keeps his job?
I don't
No, you think
know.
this is it? Regardless,
I don't think you can. I just I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel
If you-
like from my perspective as an outside fan who hasn't been able to tune in as much, and the few clips that I've seen are typically Wes Miller like breakdowns and post game and things like that. Like that doesn't help his stock. Hasn't gotten to the NCAA tournament since he's been here. Doesn't help his stock. I don't know. Took a Hail Mary on getting a player back on the team that was kicked off the team to help stock. Like it's
so
one of those
bad.
things.
I think
Yeah,
Alright,
we
what
were.
you saw this past weekend too is kind of a is a little bit of, I don't know, a reflection of Wes's ability to coach. The team's uber talented. Why did it take this long for them to kind of figure it out? Like, why are they losing at home against Eastern Michigan? Why are they not able to go into Xavier and win when I know it's one of the best basketball games in the year, but you're coming off, I don't know, like a team that is just ran through. They're all just playing for the first time, and I don't know. There's a couple other Big 12 games that you look at and scratch your head, like what happened.
Yeah, we weren't recording at the start of the season, but we were all saying that with the talent they had, they should be a protected seed in the NCAA tournament, meaning a top 4 seed. And now we're talking about barely getting on Lenardi's um, picture. So I think close the loop. Wes's best shot at still coaching this UC team after April 1st is to have the 2026 Bearcats playing after April 1st.
I don't know if that is. All right,
That's
let's
not,
get
that's not
into.
gonna happen. Second
Uh,
weekend they do it, but yeah, I don't know.
Let's go ahead and get into fan threads. First off, we love UC. Go Bearcats. Wes Miller, great guy, great coach. I'm hoping for the best, but it's been a tough one this year, guys. It's been a tough one. All right. Fan threads. So we got two questions. The first one here is from Adam Dunner, 1990. It says, where does Edwin Arroyo fit into this team for 2026?
I'll start. I think just personally depth. I think he's gonna have to hit his way onto this team if he's gonna get onto this team at some point. Like have a hot streak like we saw with some of that 2023 class that came up because they were playing really well. We don't have a ton of depth as is that can be on the 26 man. But the issue with that is a lot of players that we have to keep on 26 man are Swiss knife kind of players who are playing multiple different positions and different roles. So I think there's a lot of hype around his name. I do hope to see him maybe after the All-Star break on 2026 team, right before the All-Star break, come up and get a shot if he's playing well. But this team this year, he's in this. I think also going back to it, you have to think he's in a very similar spot as Matt McLean, right? Matt McLean and him both had injuries that lasted an entire year. Last year was their first year back. I think rushing Edwin Arroyo to the majors this year when he's coming off of only 1 year removed from a season-ending injury could not play well with his future development.
Wasn't like any mock trade that we had at the deadline last year wasn't the one guy everyone wanted was Arroyo, right? It's like, in my opinion, they're gonna hold on to him in AAA or in the minors for as long as they can to bridge the gap between him and Ellie, because I don't know if the long-term deal is going to happen, and I don't know if they want to start the clock unless they're forced in the situation. If he's hitting the cover off the ball and we're struggling offensively and there's no reason not to bring him up from a fan base, lighting the torches and grabbing the pitchforks, what makes them do it unless there's injuries?
Yeah, it's probably his path would probably be injuries and the team performing enough to where they're willing to start his clock.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right? Like, obviously, he's young too. I feel like people kind of forget we've had him in our system for so long, like 22 years old. Like, he's still got a lot of time. A lot of people don't make it to the majors until 24, 25. So, his performance is going to matter, right? We kind of know he's a plus defender, average bat, maybe he turns it up, maybe something happens. But I think performance, right? Like, if this team is going this year and we need two guys to fill this team to push to win the Central, I think they're willing to trade him. But, it's gotta be like that type of situation. Also, like, you never know, there might be an injury this year where Edwin Arroyo is able to come up and he just kills it, right? So, having a guy like that in your minor leagues is awesome, but yeah, I think they should definitely if we have a chance to make a push and we know we're going to, I think we gotta trade him, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, maybe he could
Um,
be a part of September call ups or, make a postseason roster where you get more spots. But I'm not counting on him to be, playing in June or July this year.
Yeah.
all right, well, Adam Dunner, 1990, appreciate the question. All right, our next question here is from @BigHoagie. He says, "How much does our offense rely on Sal Stewart, and what's the answer if he follows CES's footsteps?" Ooh. So again, how much does our offense rely on Sal Stewart, and what's the answer if he follows CES's footsteps?
What does he mean by following CES's footsteps? Getting
Not
hurt?
performing, like I think
Uh,
just underperforming, like not pulling it off.
So the answer at first base, they might put Steer back there, or Lowe becomes an everyday player.
I
I
think
mean,
this question might be premature in my opinion. He's only been up in the majors 18 games, right? I think he's going to have a long leash because of that reason. He hasn't even had 100 plate appearances. He's barely had 50 plate appearances. So to have this high expectation of like we have to rely on him heavily for our offense. I think that's why we went out and made a move for someone like Suarez. We're hoping on guys like Ellie to pick up some of that home run numbers where he slacked last year. We're hoping for Novelay Marte, who's now had way more at bats and way more exposure in the majors. I think we're relying on those guys a whole lot more than we are Sal Stewart, who's only been up here for 18 games.
Agreed. I don't think it runs through Stewart. He's obviously a big piece to make it successful to hit that ceiling. I also kind of think his approach is so different versus CES at the plate. Just, I think CES, he's up there swing 3, 4 times and whatever happens, happens. And South has such a different approach. Um, I think you just got to let him struggle. If he does have a down a week or two, you just got to keep playing him and let him have at bats.
I think this team will operate at its best if they're not relying on any single bat in the lineup. And I think that is the strength of this roster.
yeah. I think that's a great point. Like not one bat's going to make or break. Maybe you could say Ellie, maybe Gino with his RBIs, but like not one bat's going to make or break our performance. I think another thing too is Tito really needs to focus on protecting Sal Stewart. And I don't mean it by making sure, he's not batting second or he's not batting sixth, but the way you use him throughout the year, really make sure that you're building confidence in a young player who has a lot of potential, but also putting him in spots where he's going to, perform well. I'm worried that they're going to have to put him in the limelight way too early, just from like his the postseason performance last year, what he did prior to that. So I'm really hoping that they're able to use him and protect him, because again, he's extremely young as well. I mean, he's just scratching the surface for what he can become in the MLB.
Is his pretty much designated
Yeah.
position first base at this point? I know he can play third, but like with Key Brian Hayes, is he like from just a realistic approach? Is he pretty much penciled in at first base?
I
Yeah,
think pretty much, yeah. Because
yeah,
Cabrian Hayes, if you're going to play him, he's going to be playing third base every single day.
And that might help
yeah,
him. That's
and
less stress of knowing where you're playing if you master the position of first base. That's a huge confidence booster, and then you can work on your at bats.
No doubt. We've seen what it can do to a player who's young, first in the league, to move him to multiple different positions. It's like you're already trying to get a feel for the game at the major league level. The last thing you need is to try and get a feel for the major league level at third, then the outfield, then first base. So I'd like to see us use Sal Stewart in a position where he's mainly playing at first base. Ke'Bryan Hayes is playing majority of your days at third base, and try and just make this an easier on Sal to integrate him into the major leagues.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. Great question there at Big Hoagie. Appreciate the fan thread question of the episode. Now, let's get into our last one. We got the scoreboard stumper. So from the prior week, we had who had the longest consecutive starts for opening day for the Reds at one position, and it was Dave Concepcion. He had 15 consecutive starts on opening day, all at shortstop. It was spanning from 1971 to 1985. Arguably, I think one of the best shortstops of the 70s and 80s. He obviously gets overlooked because of Ozzie Smith, but I think he held that position down. Episode 3 question for the people and the listeners out there. We got which Red pitcher had the most starts for the franchise from the years 2000 to 2020. So obviously it's not for the whole period, but which Reds pitcher had the most starts for the franchise between the years of 2000 to 2020? And we'll release that answer at the episode that will be coming out Thursday morning. Now, one thing we're going to add is a Reds flashback. What we're trying to do here is relate to people that are, Reds fans, but, don't really haven't followed them for long, or maybe they were kids when things like this was going on. The Reds flashback, which is hopefully something we're going to get this year, was the clinching of the NL Central in 2010. Now, personally, I would love for your guys' opinions on all this, but mine, the reason why I feel like I connect to this so much is this is when I fell in love with the Reds. I vividly remember me starting to watch Reds games with my dad, and then during this 2010 season, they were doing great, and being able to watch that with him, and remembering Jay Bruce hitting a home run there to clinch the Central was awesome. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Probably the most electric moment for the Reds in our lifetime, I would probably say. Kirby, you and I actually went to the first Reds home playoff game in our lifetime against the Phillies at Game 3. We saw not the best showing, but I remember falling in love with postseason baseball at that game, waving the towels every single time, every single pitch, ball or strike, you're cheering. That was a hell of a team. I missed those years with Bruce, Votto, Roland, good pitching staff. The 2012
2012.
Yeah.
2012 team
yeah.
was a step above, but this was the team that kind of got Reds ownership to buy in. And
That was the foundation.
I'm hoping that last year was the foundation for this next era of Reds baseball.
Jay Bruce homer is one of two nostalgic homers that I think of when I think of our early days of Reds fandom, or remembering the days of 2010, 2012, everything like that. The second one for me is Ramon Hernandez hitting a home run on opening day to win that game. Those are the two that I think too, right? Jay Bruce's homer was so much fun because, for me at least, and for the city, it was this is new. I hadn't really experienced playoff kind of ball till that day. Seeing him homer to deep center, and it's no doubter off the bat, the team's parading around the field. It was a bunch of fun. And it's against the Astros with Hunter Pence, which was in my opinion, one of the more annoying teams to face.
We did last episode, pick your Reds player based on position, and I know he wasn't picked for right field, but from a nostalgic, he should have been an honorable mention of just this at bat specifically, and he was also a very good player for the Reds. I always loved the Jay Bruce, T. Higgins, Jay Bruce, feeling Joey just yelling Bruce, just kind of brings you back to your high school days and middle school days. It's sad that this home run and my home run is the Todd Frazier walk-off home run derby. It's sad that those two didn't really lead to anything else. The Todd Fathers was the only championship that we've seen as a Reds fan, but it stinks that this team had so much potential. That 2012 series still, if you ask any Cincinnati fan, is one of the worst like 3-game stretch, or it's up there with like worst fan memories with UC Nevada, Xavier, Florida State. I mean, Bengals, Steelers, 2015. Like that's up. It just stinks because that team was so fun to watch.
Yeah, I remember also to get back to Jay Bruce when he came up as a rookie, he absolutely tore the cover off the ball for the first like month, and so hype was real. I got a Jay Bruce jersey, I think, before that first season ended.
He would carry team, like if he would see the ball as like a softball, he would have stretches where he could carry the team.
I'll never forget watching the like 2010 to like 2000, honestly, like 15 teams. Just, I don't know. There's a bunch of honorable mentions you could throw out there of just like people that bring back, like Drew Stubbs is a weird one that just comes to mind every time I think of those teams, or like, I don't know. It's cool to kind of think back at that, but hopefully again this year we get a clinch miss. We get an opportunity that the Reds kind of put stuff together, and we're able to see some more postseason baseball. But looking ahead at everything, our next episode obviously is going to be dropping Thursday morning. We'll dive a little bit more into spring training, try and get a feel of what this Reds team is going to look like, and also hopefully talk a little bit more about what our bullpen situation might be in the upcoming year. That's been Off the Thread Reds, and thanks for joining us. And be on the lookout for our next episode. Again, that's Thursday morning at 7 a.m. We can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and don't forget to check out our social media at OT Threads Reds. And like always, go Reds.